This is the Golden Gate. It's the east gate. It's known as the Mercy Gate to Jerusalem. As you can tell, it's been sealed up for a long, long time.
In the heart of Jerusalem, one gate has been silent for centuries. Sealed in stone, frozen in time. The Golden Gate, the only eastern entrance to the Old City, stands like a witness to eternity. In the heart of Jerusalem, one gate has been silent for centuries. Sealed in stone, frozen in time. The Golden Gate, the only eastern entrance to the Old City, stands like a witness to eternity. For generations it has stared across the valley toward the Mount of Olives, unblinking, unmoved. But now, something is happening. Recent images and reports tell of cracks forming along the ancient wall. Some say it's erosion. Others whisper of movement beneath the stones, small tremors, shifting foundations. And as these rumors spread, a question rises like a storm. Is the sealed gate of Jerusalem beginning to move? To some, it's just old masonry giving way to time. To others, it's prophecy stirring from sleep. Because this is no ordinary gate. This is the very gate believed to have welcomed the Messiah once before, and the gate through which he is said to return again. It's been sealed for almost 500 years, blocked by stone and guarded by a graveyard meant to keep prophecy buried. Yet the world is watching, because when ancient stones begin to tremble, faith and history collide. Could these movements be random? Or are they signs of something greater, something divine, beginning to unfold in plain sight? The mystery deepens with every whisper from Jerusalem's eastern wall. And as the sun rises over the Mount of Olives, the question echoes once more. If the Golden Gate is moving, what or who is about to enter? For nearly 500 years, the Golden Gate has remained closed, its great arches sealed with rough stone, its passageways filled with silence. No footsteps echo there, no prayers rise from within. Only the wind passes through the cracks, carrying whispers of forgotten prophecy. The people of Jerusalem call it many names: the Eastern Gate, the Gate of Mercy, the Golden Gate. It stands facing the morning sun, directly opposite the Mount of Olives, where prophets once walked and kings once prayed. Beyond it lies the Temple Mount, the holiest ground in all of Judaism, and the site where the presence of God was said to dwell. To the casual traveler, it's just another wall of ancient stone. But to those who know the Scriptures, this sealed doorway holds a secret too powerful to ignore. It is said that the glory of the Lord once entered through this gate, and that no man was ever to open it again. Generations have come and gone, empires have risen and fallen, yet the gate has never been breached. Sultan Suleiman ordered it sealed in 1541, perhaps to protect the city or to halt a prophecy. He even placed a Muslim cemetery before it, believing that no holy man, especially a Jewish priest, would dare cross the graves of the dead. But walls cannot stop what heaven has decreed. So the gate remains, sealed, silent, defiant against time, a symbol of faith, a challenge to unbelief, and a reminder that what God has spoken will not fade. Yet lately, the silence seems to waver. Small tremors, faint movements, as if the ancient stones themselves are preparing for something. What is the gate waiting for? And who is meant to pass through it once more? Long before the stones were laid, before Jerusalem's walls were built, a vision was given to a prophet in exile. His name was Ezekiel, and his words still echo through time like thunder over the hills of Judah. He wrote, "Then he brought me back to the outer gate of the sanctuary, the one facing east, but it was shut. And the Lord said to me, This gate shall remain shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it. Therefore it shall remain shut." This passage, found in Ezekiel chapter 44, speaks of a mystery that has baffled scholars and believers for centuries. Why would God command a gate to be sealed forever? And what does it mean that the Lord Himself once entered through it? To the faithful, this is not just history, it's divine design. They believe that when God's presence filled the ancient temple, it came through this very gate, marking it as sacred ground. No man was ever to use it again because it had been touched by the glory of heaven. Yet prophecy never ends with the past. It points forward to something still to come. Could this same gate be destined to open again, not by human hands, but by the returning King Himself? Could the shaking stones and trembling earth be reminders that what was sealed by man will one day be opened by God? The prophet's vision lingers like a promise on the wind. And as the world grows restless, one question refuses to fade. If the Lord once entered through this gate, could He be preparing to return the same way? 2,000 years ago, the streets of Jerusalem trembled with joy. Crowds gathered, waving palm branches, their voices rising like a river. "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." On that day, a man rode into the city on a humble donkey, a carpenter from Nazareth, a teacher, a healer, a man whom many called the Messiah. According to ancient prophecy in Zechariah 9:9, the king would come to Zion lowly and riding on a donkey. Many scholars and believers trace his path directly through the eastern gate, the same golden gate that faces the Mount of Olives. If true, then the prophecy of Ezekiel, the Lord entering through the gate, found its first echo in that moment. But just as light fades into night, celebration soon gave way to sorrow. The same city that welcomed him with songs would days later lead him to a cross outside its walls. He was crucified, buried, and 3 days later rose again, not as a teacher, but as the risen Lord. And yet the story did not end there, because He promised to return, not as a servant, but as the King of Kings, the same King who once entered through that gate in humility, and who will one day enter again in glory. The eastern gate has waited ever since. Its stones, sealed and silent, seem to remember. The wind that brushes across the Mount of Olives feels like a breath held for centuries. And now, as those ancient walls begin to tremble once more, the question rises again. Could the same gate that once welcomed the King in humility soon open for His return in power? Centuries passed after the days of the Messiah. Jerusalem changed rulers, empires, and flags, yet the eastern gate still stood, open to the morning sun. But in the year 1541, history took a turn that would forever seal its fate. The Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, ruler of a vast Islamic empire, ordered the Golden Gate bricked shut. Stone upon stone, workers filled its great arches until the entrance disappeared beneath layers of limestone and mortar. Why? Some say it was for defense, to protect the city from invasion. But others whisper another reason, a fear of prophecy. Suleiman had heard of the ancient Jewish belief that the Messiah would one day enter Jerusalem through this very gate. To stop it, he sealed it shut. Then, as if to make his point unbreakable, he built a Muslim cemetery in front of it, believing no holy man, especially a Jewish priest, would dare cross the graves of the dead. Man had sealed what God had opened. The gate of mercy was silenced by the will of men, a human attempt to block the path of prophecy itself. But prophecy does not bow to politics. The word of God does not tremble before empires. Centuries later, Suleiman's name is a line in history books, but the sealed gate still stands, defying the ages. Bricks and graves cannot bury a promise. And now, as tremors ripple through the ancient wall, that old defiance begins to falter. What if the very stones that men used to keep the Messiah out are now beginning to move? Could the seal of man be cracking beneath the hand of God? For centuries the Golden Gate has stood in silence, sealed, unshaken, unbroken. Tourists pass by, cameras clicking, unaware that every stone in that wall holds a secret. But recently, whispers have begun to spread. Whispers of movement. Whispers of sound. Eyewitnesses have claimed that during certain nights, faint vibrations can be felt near the eastern wall. Some say the stones shift ever so slightly, as if something behind them is stirring. Archaeologists dismiss it as natural erosion, but to believers it feels like prophecy waking up. In 2023, a team conducting ground studies near the Temple Mount recorded unexplained tremors localized around the eastern gate. No fault line, no machinery, just a deep resonant pulse felt only there, as if the earth itself was humming. And then came the reports, subtle, fleeting, yet impossible to ignore. A tourist's video capturing what appeared to be a fine crack snaking through one of the sealed arches. Local guides claiming they heard a low, echoing groan from within the wall, like breath moving through stone. Coincidence? Or the stirring of something greater? For those who watch the signs, these moments are not accidents, they are reminders. The gate that man closed in fear may soon open by divine decree. Just as the tomb was sealed, yet could not contain the risen Christ, so too might this gate, bound by centuries, fail to resist the hand of heaven. Because when prophecy begins to move, the earth does too. And as each stone quivers in the silence of Jerusalem's dawn, a chilling thought lingers. What if the sealed gate is no longer asleep, but waking?
Every prophecy has its echo, faint at first, then louder with time. And now, as the world trembles with unrest, those echoes grow stronger. Jesus once spoke of a time marked by wars and rumors of wars, by earthquakes, and by hearts growing cold. Today, headlines mirror those very words. Conflict brews in the Middle East. Nations posture with weapons ready. Earthquakes rattle ancient cities. Faith wavers as the noise of chaos grows. Could it be that the sealed gate of Jerusalem is part of this crescendo? A divine alarm, signaling that history is nearing its final movement. The Mount of Olives, standing opposite the gate, has long been tied to prophecy. It was there that Jesus wept over Jerusalem. It was there he ascended into heaven. And, according to Zechariah 14:4, it will be there he returns, his feet standing once more upon that sacred hill. From that vantage point, the eastern gate lies directly in his path. So when believers hear that the stones are shifting, they do not merely think of earthquakes. They think of alignment, of prophecy and place, of heaven and earth meeting once again. The sealed gate becomes more than a relic. It becomes a mirror, reflecting both the brokenness of the world and the promise of redemption. For centuries it has waited, a locked door between time and eternity. And now, as the world spins faster toward uncertainty, that silence feels heavy, almost expectant. If the signs Jesus spoke of are truly unfolding before our eyes, then perhaps the movement of these ancient stones is not random. Perhaps they are responding to the footsteps of a returning king. In ancient Jerusalem, watchmen stood on the city walls, guardians of the night, eyes fixed on the horizon. Their duty was simple: to stay awake, to warn, to watch. Today, that calling still exists, but the watchmen no longer carry torches or horns. They carry cameras, scriptures, and prayer. Across the world, millions of believers have become spiritual watchmen, tracking signs, reading headlines, and lifting their eyes toward Jerusalem. Isaiah 62:6 declares, "I have posted watchmen on your walls, Jerusalem. They will never be silent, day or night." That verse, written thousands of years ago, now echoes louder than ever. From pastors in Texas to pilgrims in Israel, from hidden prayer rooms to online prophecy circles, hearts are stirring. Videos of shifting stones spark late-night prayers. News reports of tension in the Holy Land turn into cries of intercession. The watchers are awake. But being a watchman isn't just about observation. It's about preparation. To watch means to stay ready, not out of fear, but out of faith. Because prophecy is not meant to scare us, it's meant to prepare us. The sealed gate may be in Jerusalem, but the message reaches every corner of the earth. Keep watch. Hold your faith. Stay awake. For the same Lord who once entered through those gates on a donkey will one day return as a king on clouds of glory. And when that moment comes, no stone wall, no army, no power of man will stand in his way. The watchmen see it, they feel it, and deep in their spirits they know something ancient is about to awaken. 5 centuries ago, a sultan sealed the eastern gate with stone and mortar. He thought he could silence prophecy, lock out a promise, and close a door to destiny. But what man binds, God can unbind. What man seals, heaven can shake open. And now, half a millennium later, the mystery deepens. Why, after so many quiet centuries, do we hear of motion? Why now, when the world stands on edge, when faith feels faint, when prophecy feels near? Could it be coincidence or divine orchestration? Every stone in Jerusalem tells a story, but this one tells the story. A sealed gate waiting for a king. A world trembling, waiting for peace. A people watching, waiting for redemption. The signs are not random. The whispers beneath the stones, the rising tension in the Middle East, the cries for unity and peace, all of it weaves together like a thread in the fabric of prophecy. And perhaps in this grand tapestry, the Eastern Gate is the final piece, the hinge on which eternity swings. When that gate opens, it will not be by accident. It will open because the one who entered once in humility will return in glory. And in that instant, time itself will bow. But until that day, the mystery remains sealed, half seen, half sensed. A riddle written in stone, waiting for its final verse. The watchers know it. The skeptics deny it. But even the wind across the Mount of Olives seems to whisper one unspoken truth. The gate will not stay closed forever. The gate stands still. Its stones are ancient, worn, and silent. Yet something in that silence feels alive, as if the city itself is holding its breath. For nearly 500 years, the Golden Gate has faced the rising sun, sealed against the promise it was meant to fulfill. But prophecy does not sleep forever, and heaven does not forget its own words. Across the valley, the Mount of Olives waits, the very place from which Jesus ascended. The Bible says he will return there just as he left. From that sacred hill, the first thing his eyes will meet is the sealed Eastern Gate. And when that moment comes, no wall will hold him back. The seal of men will break like clay beneath his feet. The stones will part, not by earthquake, but by command. And the gate that once barred the Messiah will open for the King of Kings. Every prophecy, every sign, every tremor beneath Jerusalem's soil, it all leads here, to this moment, to this return. The watchers on the walls are not waiting in vain. The shifting stones are not random. The sealed gate is not forgotten. Because somewhere beyond time, footsteps are already echoing, and the sound grows closer with each passing hour. When the King comes, the world will know. Every eye will see. Every voice will tremble. And from the ashes of chaos, peace will reign. So watch the gate. Listen for the stirrings, because the silence of Jerusalem will not last forever. The King is coming.